Defensive Player of the Year award is a coveted award among NBA players. It rewards the league's top defensive player every season, but only accounts for the regular season performances. In this way, it is largely a statistical award, but there is also a factor of game impact included by the voters. But there are some great defensive players who missed out on winning even one single Defensive Player of the Year award during their NBA careers. So who are these players? Today we are going through the top 10 NBA players who didn't win a DPOY award. Now before we get into it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Number 10. Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is still a relatively young player who is still only 27 years old, so he is likely going to be a strong candidate for future Defensive Player of the Year awards. However, it is still a little bit of a surprise that the talented 76ers center has missed out on a Defensive Player of the Year award during his 4 All-Star seasons to this point. Embiid has been a strong defensive rim protector during his career to this point, averaging between 1 to 2 blocks per game and being a menacing presence on the inside. His defense also contributed to the success of the 76ers, who have seen the process pay off with a string of winning seasons and postseason appearances. So why hasn't Embiid won a Defensive Player of the Year award? The answer? Rudy Gobert. The Jazz center has just been a little better than Embiid as a defensive presence inside, averaging over 2 blocks per game and keeping the opposition out of the paint. Gobert has won 3 of the last 4 DPOYs. Giannis Antetokounmpo won the other one in an MVP season. Number 9. Bill Russell. This is a little bit of a picky one, but we had to include Russell if for no other reason than he is one of the NBA's all-time great defenders. Russell played center for the Boston Celtics during the 1950s and 1960s before blocks were officially recorded as a statistic. However, Russell was a force on the glass and an extremely effective defender on the inside. Russell was a key contributor for the Celtics dynasty, which even won 11 NBA titles during Russell's 13-year career. And he also was named to 12 All-Star teams during those seasons, mainly for his defensive and rebounding abilities. Unfortunately for Russell, the Defensive Player of the Year award had not yet been created during his playing days. It wasn't instituted until the 1982-1983 season. If it had been, he likely would have racked up several victories, but as it is, Russell is a notable player without a DPOY to his name. Number 8. Tony Allen. Tony Allen is best known for his days on the grit and grind Memphis Grizzlies, where his suffocating defense along the perimeter was a key part of the team's success. Allen made 6 All-NBA defensive teams during the prime of his career, but he was never able to be named the best defensive player in the league. Allen was never known for his offensive ability, was renowned as a defender, think Lou Dort in today's game, and was especially famed for his matchups with vaunted offensive players like Kobe Bryant. Kobe even gifted Allen with a pair of shoes reading, "To Tony, the best defender I ever faced," in a matchup that was late in their careers. Despite these accolades, Allen missed out on winning the coveted award in part due to his position in every year of his prime. The DPOY award went to big men like Tyson Chandler, Grizzlies teammate Marc Gasol, and Joakim Noah. Number 7. LeBron James. No one will ever accuse LeBron of being an underrated player. Known as one of the best players in league history, LeBron has earned an incredible number of accolades throughout his tenure in the NBA. However, the Defensive Player of the Year award has always eluded him. At his best, James is a multifaceted defender who can match up with nearly any player on the court. As previously mentioned though, the DPOY award has historically been given to a player who dominates at a single position or area of the court defensively. Due to this reason, among some other things, LeBron lost out on his best chance to win a DPOY in 2013 to center Marc Gasol, who locked down the interior on a stifling Grizzlies defense. James said in 2020 that Marc Gasol has my Defensive Player of the Year trophy at his house. So it remains clear that King James isn't satisfied with the accolades that he has to his name. Number 6. Andrei Kirilenko. Andrei Kirilenko is one of the most unique players in the recent history of the NBA. The Russian big man stood at a lanky 6'9", weighing just 220 pounds, but possessing a monster wingspan. These physical attributes, coupled with his quick feet and basketball IQ, made Kirilenko a strong defensive player who could shut down entire sides of the court in his prime. Andrei's best arguments for a Defensive Player of the Year award are either the 2004-2005 season or the 2005-2006 season. In both of these years, he averaged just over 3 blocks and 1.5 steals per game, while also putting up good numbers on the defensive glass. He was just plain disruptive and a bad matchup for opposing players, which catapulted him to 3 NBA All-Defensive teams. However, he lost out on the DPOY in his best defensive seasons to Detroit Pistons center Ben Wallace, who won the award 4 total times in his career. Number 5. Chris Paul. You can tell by now that DPOY award just doesn't typically go to point guards. In fact, the only point guard to ever win the award was famed defender Gary Payton in the 95-96 season. However, you could make a strong argument that Chris Paul could have broken that mold sometime during his NBA career. Paul has long been one of the NBA's premier perimeter defenders, being named to 9 NBA All-Defensive teams. He does his best work on defense through sheer will and tenacity, poking the ball free with quick hands and generally making life tough for the opposition. Especially in his earlier days with the New Orleans Hornets, Paul was a machine on the defensive end, averaging nearly 3 steals per game, harassing his defensive matchups and creating lots of transition opportunities. However, during his 2 best defensive seasons, 2007-2008 and 2008-2009, the award still went to star interior defenders in Kevin Garnett and Dwight Howard. Number 4. Kobe Bryant. While Gary Payton was the last point guard to win the Defensive Player of the Year award, you have to look even further back to find a shooting guard who won the award. In fact, the DPOY award was won mainly by shooting guards in its first 6 years of existence, by Sidney Moncrief, Alvin Robertson, Michael Cooper, and Michael Jordan. Since 1988, though, a shooting guard hasn't cracked the list. Kobe Bryant certainly made his case to change this during his career, earning a reputation as an intense defender who routinely asked for the most difficult matchup and lived up to the challenge. Kobe was named to NBA All-Defensive teams a whopping 12 times and thrived on pure intimidation as much as he did on recordable stats. However, you can still pick out his 2002-2003 season as potentially his best ever defensive campaign, as he put up over 2 steals a game, while also impacting the game through rebounding and shot contesting. Guess who won the award this year? That's right, Ben Wallace. The Pistons center surely must have been a thorn in the Black Mamba's side, as he was for countless other NBA stars. Number 3. Kareem AbdulJabbar. This is another tough one, but we have to list the NBA's greatest all-time defenders, even if he couldn't have won the award for much of his prime. In fact, the DPOY award didn't officially come around until Kareem was already 35 years old. By this time, Kareem had taken a physical beating in his career and wasn't nearly the defender he had been in previous years. In the late 1970s, AbdulJabbar was nearly immovable on the defensive side of the ball, leading the league in blocks 4 times, along with being an incredible player on the defensive end. To choose one season in particular, in 1975-76, Kareem averaged unbelievable numbers of 4.1 blocks and 13.5 defensive rebounds per game. Surely this would have been good enough to earn him a Defensive Player of the Year award, but as it is, Kareem goes down as one of the biggest snubs for the award, even if it is on a technicality of sorts. Number 2. Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen is well known for his role in the Chicago Bulls dynasty of the 1990s, especially as a secondary scorer and complementary piece to Michael Jordan. However, his biggest contributions to the team came on the defensive end. His coach Phil Jackson called him a one-man wrecking crew on defense due to his incredible athletic ability and getting blocks and steals. He used his great speed and wingspan to chase down loose balls, make preposterous blocks, and trap opponents when they got out of position. Pippen made 10 consecutive NBA All-Defensive teams, but was never able to be named as the best defensive player in the league. Pippen's best claim to the award is likely the 94-95 season, where Michael Jordan returned late in the year, but the Bulls ultimately fell short of the NBA Finals. And this year, Pippen averaged nearly 3 steals and over a block per game while keeping the Bulls in many games as a defender. However, Pippen has the misfortune to play in an era with 2 all-time great defenders in Hakeem Olajuwon and Dikembe Mutombo, who won the award during most of Pippen's prime. Number 1. Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is the all-time snub for Defensive Player of the Year. It really couldn't be anybody else. Duncan is without a doubt one of the league's greatest ever defenders, not only protecting the rim and blocking shots, but matching up with a cavalcade of excellent big men while directing his San Antonio Spurs teammates in terms of positioning and assignments. Duncan made a staggering 15 NBA All-Defensive teams. This is the most of any player all time, but never was named as the best defensive player in a single season of his incredible career. How could this be? Again, it comes down to competition in such a close race, and Duncan was never able to outpace two incredible interior defenders in Ben Wallace and Dwight Howard, among a couple of others, at least in the minds of the voters. However, if you were to pick out one season where Duncan should have taken home some hardware, it would be the 2002-2003 season, where he averaged nearly 3 blocks and 10 defensive rebounds per game while leading the Spurs to an NBA championship. However, he lost out to a familiar face in Ben Wallace, who had an even more impressive season with over 3 blocks and 11 defensive rebounds per game, although his Pistons lost in the conference finals. So even when Duncan is an all-time great on the defensive end, things just didn't work out for him to get that coveted DPOY. So there you have it, our list of the top 10 NBA players who didn't win a DPOY award. But we want to hear from the fans. Let us know in the comments if you think that we got it right with this list, or tell us how we should have switched things up or who we might have missed. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. This has been our breakdown of the top 10 NBA players who didn't win a DPOY award.